Nauru. A name many have never heard of, and even fewer have ever seen. Tucked away in the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, this tiny island nation holds some of the most shocking and paradoxical titles in the world. It is the least visited country on Earth and simultaneously, the most obese nation on the planet. A place of stunning natural beauty now marked by the scars of extreme exploitation, economic collapse, and a controversial role in global immigration policy. Let's take a closer look at how this tiny island of just 21 square kilometers and around 10,000 people became a symbol of environmental ruin, political controversy, and human tragedy. A paradise lost. Once called Pleasant Island by British whalers in the 18th century, Nauru was originally a lush tropical paradise, home to a Micronesian and Polynesian population that thrived on coconut farming and fishing. But everything changed in the early 20th century with the discovery of one thing: phosphate. Nauru sits on one of the richest phosphate deposits in the world, a result of centuries of bird droppings accumulating on its limestone surface. This white gold was highly sought after as a fertilizer, and soon, colonial powers like Germany, Britain, and later Australia began large-scale mining operations. After World War I, Nauru became a League of Nations mandate administered by Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. When Nauru gained independence in 1968, it inherited full control of its phosphate mines. For a brief time, this brought incredible wealth. In the 1970s, Nauru had one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world. The government provided free healthcare, education, and no taxes. But what looked like a tropical success story was built on a fragile and temporary foundation: environmental collapse. Phosphate mining devastated the island. Over 80% of Nauru's land was stripped bare, left uninhabitable, with jagged limestone pinnacles making it look more like a moonscape than a tropical paradise. The environmental damage was catastrophic and irreversible. By the 1990s, phosphate resources were nearly depleted. With no more mining revenue, the economy collapsed. Mismanagement, corruption, and a series of failed investments, like a musical production about Leonardo da Vinci and a luxury hotel in Australia, drained the country's sovereign wealth. The most obese nation on Earth. Today, more than 90% of Nauru's population is overweight, and over 60% are classified as obese. This isn't simply due to lifestyle choices but the result of decades of economic and environmental factors. Once self-sufficient in food, Nauruans lost their ability to farm or fish when the land was destroyed and ecosystems disrupted. Imported, processed foods replaced fresh produce. Cheap, calorie-dense items like canned meat, instant noodles, and sugary drinks dominate the diet. Combined with low physical activity, largely due to limited recreational space and a sedentary lifestyle, the obesity crisis took hold. The result is a public health disaster: skyrocketing rates of diabetes, heart disease, and other obesity-related illnesses. Nauru now has one of the highest rates of type 2 diabetes in the world, affecting up to 40% of its adult population. The least visited country. Nauru receives fewer than 200 tourists per year. It has no major resorts, no tourism industry to speak of, and limited flights, most of which come from Brisbane, Australia. The island lacks the infrastructure to accommodate more visitors, and the environmental damage makes it far less attractive than its Pacific neighbors like Fiji or Samoa. Visa restrictions and the country's remote location further discourage travelers. But beyond logistics, it's the country's reputation that keeps many away. Australia's offshore detention deal. In the early 2000s, Nauru became entangled in international politics through a controversial agreement with Australia. As part of Australia's Pacific solution, asylum seekers arriving by boat were detained offshore, in Nauru, while their refugee claims were processed. This offshore detention center has been widely condemned by human rights organizations. Detainees, including children, reported inhumane conditions, mental health issues, and indefinite detention without trial. The facility became known as an open-air prison. For Nauru, the deal brought much-needed cash. Australia provided aid and jobs in return for hosting the center. But the human cost was immense. The island became synonymous with suffering, secrecy, and international condemnation. Journalists and aid workers were often denied access or heavily monitored, reinforcing the sense of isolation and suppression. Corruption and political instability. Nauru's politics have been plagued by allegations of corruption and authoritarianism. Critics of the government have been silenced or removed from parliament. The judicial system has seen interference, and the government has at times restricted access to social media and foreign press. With limited economic prospects and dependency on foreign aid, especially from Australia, Nauru walks a fine line between sovereignty and survival. A glimpse of hope? Despite its dire circumstances, there are small signs of resilience. Environmental rehabilitation efforts are slowly trying to restore parts of the island. Nauru has also joined international climate conversations, advocating for stronger global action, a critical issue for low-lying island nations threatened by rising sea levels. Some younger Nauruans are studying abroad, hoping to bring back new skills and ideas. But without significant investment, political reform, and sustainable development, the road ahead remains uncertain. The Forgotten Island. Nauru is a nation of extremes. Once among the richest per capita, now among the poorest. Once self-sustaining, now dependent on others. Its story is a cautionary tale about the consequences of resource exploitation, short-term wealth, and geopolitical maneuvering. It's more than just the world's most obese or least visited country. It's a symbol of what happens when paradise is mined, people are sidelined, and decisions are made without a plan for tomorrow. And yet, Nauru remains isolated, resilient, waiting for a future it can shape for itself.